Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Ball Watching Tuesday's edition here, Justin. It's good to kind of get these done. I feel like when we're early enough where the loss is still fresh, what feels like a loss, but was a draw actually for us, and it could have been a win. Man, it could have been every shade of a result in that one. I'm saying losses because there's been so many of them so far this season, but and far enough away from the other game where we can kind of sink our teeth into what Seattle's going to throw at us here, Justin. But happy midweek. How are you? How's life, man?
Life's good. I was shocked. I don't. Did you wake up to the storms last night?
Yeah.
I could barely. Like 2:45. It sounded like it was literally a biblical type of storm coming down, and that was insane. And it was right after I stayed up too late. I'm going to bring us right into our what are you watching? Righteous Gemstones, Jake. I don't know why, but like it's the perfect right before bed. Kind of. It's a really dumb show, but it makes me laugh. And then now it's actually got a pretty funny storyline and. Danny and I we just ripped off like 4 or 5 episodes last night, and I'm just staying up too late watching that. It's just hilarious. I know I'm probably behind the times, but I love it.
HBO is just they don't miss very often, and I hate just but like I feel like if you flip on any streaming service and it's an HBO show, it definitely has the highest hit rate out of any other streaming. I mean, like because there's some hits on other platforms, but there's also a lot of misses mixed in there. It's hard to find a just crappy HBO Max show.
I think that's a perfect way to put it because I feel like Apple has some of my favorite shows, like up there top 5 like all time. But I don't even know what else is on Apple. And like obviously they're hemorrhaging money with what they came out in their financials, but it's just like HBO. To your point, like that Succession. We just bring into a couple of these and you just turn it on. That's the one place that's now my go-to. That's my like Netflix from college. Now I'm going through HBO when I'm bored and I don't know what to watch.
Yeah, it's hard to miss out there. I'm watching The Last of Us right now on there, which is a good show as well. Not my what are you watching? I'm actually watching My Mouth because my son just turned 2 over the weekend, and he's legitimately a parakeet at this point in his life. Anything I say will be used against me in a court of law or at the dinner table in our circumstances. He's getting really good. So mom and dad are having to clean up. Not that we're like sickos when it comes to cursing and cuss words, but he picks anything up. Like I call my wife a nickname, and now he calls her the nickname as well. So like, gotta tone it back. The kid's picking up on a lot more stuff. So I'm watching My Mouth this week.
That's pretty hilarious. I don't bring him around Uncle Jay. Then I will. Yeah, don't bring him around to a city game when we're down at the pitch.
Yeah, that's a good rule of thumb, Justin. A rule of thumb, at least, or one that's felt like one this year, is we can't start a match without 17 players that are out for it. And the fortunes could be turning here, Justin, as we saw a pair of returnees, I guess we can call them, to the match day and actually onto the pitch as well, with Horn logging his first start in a couple of matches after having a quad or a thigh injury. God, you miss him. We'll talk about him a little bit later on. Nilsson also, I mean, the guy, that one specifically, we're just used to never seeing him. But when you see him, you're glad to have him. And I feel like for us, when he's healthy, I almost just feel like at this point, you have to play him because you're a couple seconds, you're a couple matches from him going out again long term. So I love that we throw him right into the mixer, got a little 25-minute shift under the belt.
I'm going to say with Nilsson, Jake, I couldn't agree more because I don't even think it's like a nagging injury at this point. The man just made of glass. So if he's healthy, throw him in there because otherwise we're just going to try to save him when there's no point in saving him. So
agreed.
One that it still struggles and it hurts me to think about is Mr. Leuven.
Yeah.
He is back in town and training, getting ramped up this week, but that's been one that that it's not injury related. It's just ever since the red card, just out with his wife, what we'd assume. And so I'm happy to see that he's getting back along with his good friend, Mr. Roman Berkey, as well. He can now begin training fully this week, but being super cautious. I think earlier, mid last week, he was like in the field doing like nothing with his hands, only like 5v2s, things like that kind of training. And not going to lie, Jake, that's a guy that I would love to have on like my 5v5 team. You put him in like the midfield, I'm sure that he can just hold somebody off and also just ping some balls.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm going to come back to Leuven here, but to round us out here, Alm still out with hip. Haven't heard much about him. I wouldn't also say that we're, in dire need of Rasmus Alm either at this point. I don't think he would be helping as much as maybe we'd like it to. Jay Reed getting close as well, training separately from the team, probably getting more integrated into full team training here, recovering from his broken foot. Toland worries me, given that they brought him back to the bench. Something kind of happened in warm up or he felt something still. So They're really taking it conservative on him. So he was obviously out for this last match after being on the bench for the last match prior. Durkin, running separately, but he's recovering from that MCL. I'm not expecting to see him soon. And Kessler, I heard it at team activities, wasn't even present there. They haven't come out and said fully, I feel like, what's going on with Kessler, but we know it's a hamstring. So I don't feel great about that situation. But just to go back to Leuven really quick, Justin, I wonder if they'll come out or if he'll come out similar to what he did after his last prolonged absence and give the base, not that he owes anyone, but give everyone a sense of what's been going on with him. And I think if anything, just to be transparent, and I think the fans obviously love him, whatever's going on. They're not owed that. We're not owed that. But I'd be curious. I really hope everything's okay with Edu and the family and what he's been going through. But color me excited, man. We've missed him sorely, 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 sorely. And I think him being introduced, obviously it'll take time to get him match fit, get him back 90 minutes ready to jump into the trenches with the boys. But bringing in a central midfielder of that ilk at this point in the season, when progression's been one of our biggest concerns, I'm really excited about his coming back.
Absolutely. And I think this is one, and obviously now with Morales and a red card, and we'll touch on how that just went, but we are looking short-handed in there. And we'll talk about our starting 11 and who we think could be sliding in there as well for the next game. But
Ooh.
I mean, this is a terrible time, and I would love to see, obviously take it very slow with Leuven as well. That's one where you actually do want to take it extremely slow, because from a match fitness perspective, that means a professional. He's been training, lifting, running, whatever. But obviously getting back on the field and using those muscles you don't typically use in the cuts and all of that. So that's one that I definitely want to take slow. But Jake, let's talk about a quick little recap on this LAFC game, which is probably not going to even be that quick because there's a lot to talk about.
There is. And I'll give my summary off the top here. On paper, if you gave me no context, we just FIFA sim this game and there was a 2-2 draw, I'd say that is a fat W for us. That is awesome. We've taken 1 point off them in 4 matches prior to that. Now we've taken 2 points off in 5, which is not a great track record against what is, I would call, a pretty solid team, especially in the West. And 2 goals as well to show for it. I'd say I'll take that every day and twice on Sundays. But then you actually get into the game, us having watched it, and to me, it's a big mixed bag. You see some positives. There's a lot of negatives, especially with how the first half went and the final minutes went, in my opinion. So we'll get into that. But if I were to start it off, that's my summary at the very top.
Absolutely. I mean, you can't start anywhere else besides the starting 11. So obviously Lunton goal while Berkey is still out. Then I kind of like describing this as literally a 5-2-2-1, even though the wingbacks would be more pushed up and it would be closer to a 3-4-2-1. But from left to right, you got Wallum, Horn, Baumgartel, Yarrow, and Hebert. And the way I like describing that, especially in this game, Jake, is because we were in that back. They were all a flat line for the majority of that first half. We were really just trying to take it in. And then in front of them, you have Morales and Ostrak. And then you have Hartel and Toyshirt with Klaus up top. Ostrak getting his first start since May of 2024, which is helpful, though, because I agree, and you could hear Taylor Twellman talk about this. It did allow Hartel to get up the field, and that's where he needs to be. He's more dangerous in that sense. He's not a guy like a Leuven that needs to be – he's in front of the back four. He's more of an attacker than he is a defender, and I like anything that we can do to try to push him up.
I like that you called this more of a 5-2-2-1, and in reality, even though it looks like a 3-4-2-1 on all the graphics you'll see, because the 2 behind Klaus being Hartel and Toyshirt, it really is, when you think of that, the 2-2-1 element of this, it's really narrow, right? None of those 2s have chalk on their boots for the most part, right? These are guys that are playing a lot more centrally and taking up space down the middle channel. And to play Hartel and Toyshirt underneath Klaus, obviously great players, but you do kind of show or tip your hand, at least to me, in that we weren't going to be stretching the field much unless Wallum was doing the left. We know Hebert's not doing that on the right. So we really, I feel like, limited ourselves from an attacking standpoint and came out with an uber conservative attack to start from. And I think, Justin, let's just take it into the halves. Obviously, it was a tale of 2 halves to start it off at the top here. And I'll let you kind of talk through your take on this. But I do feel very, very intently that Olaf's goal in the first half was to just not concede, because we didn't really come out of our shell. We played really defensively, really conservative. We did not commit numbers forward. And I think the goal was to get in at halftime, get to the locker room, knot it up, and it's a new game in the second half.
Absolutely. And that's something I was just trying to pull up, Jake, is like if you actually look at the stats at halftime, that had to have been the play for him, because it was horrendous for us when you're looking at that like, oh my God, this is going to be the longest game ever. And I'm glad that he actually made some halftime switches. But look at this. I'm going to share a screen so everybody else can see what it truly was at halftime. This was the graphic that was showed on Apple. Their XG was 2.20 to our 0.03. They had 10 shots with 4 on target. We had 1 shot with 1 on target. And that didn't even come to the 40th minute. Possession, 65% to 35. Fine. That's how it goes. 0 corners for us shows that we were just not getting up the field. And that's just it. And only 1 offsides as well. We're just not pushing it. And it felt that way. It felt like we were just taking the pressure in waves for about 2 minutes. And then we would try to play out and we would lose it on a careless turnover. So that first half was terrible.
And hey, like, it worked, right? Like, you did go in to them, and it definitely, you probably didn't deserve to. Loon, obviously, we'll talk about, played an outstanding match overall, I would say. But to go away from home when things have kind of gone the way they have this season, I know points, that's the currency. How you get them doesn't really matter when you talk to a coach, right? That's how they're measured ultimately. But it just felt so icky. You know what I mean? To go in there and just play that ugly of a half against a high-flying LAFC team who does leave space in behind. Like, we obviously were able to make more of it in the second half, but it's honestly like the worst dose of medicine to give this fan base that's just clamoring to see something worth getting excited about. And it doesn't need to be like a high-flying show or a spectacle, but it just come out and show us that you want to write things. You want to do something different. You want to punch LAFC in the face at home.
And that's what it's kind of funny when you're thinking like, oh, let's just try to take it back. Let's just get to half without letting them score a goal. That is going to be so hard when you're facing Denny Bwanga, Giroud, Martinez, Tillman, Jesus. These guys just coming at you in waves, and then we're going to get picked apart. Even if you do a low block of having 5 in the back with 2 in front of them, those guys are going to find the ways to do a nifty little cheeky chip or a slot in behind. So it's just one that I was kind of surprised that we were just kind of saying, hey, just buckle down and try to get there. Halftime, I know we're not going to, we have plenty still more to talk about in the first half, but stats-wise, second half, we had 10 shots with 5 of them on target. Again, that is the opposite of our 1 shot with 1 on target. And so I really do think that the goal was really just to get to half and then make some moves.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Just to go back to some of the first half, I wrote 3 players down that stood out to me specifically. Santa Claus. I have a segment Ostrock here with Rock, R-O-C-K. He was maybe the best player on the field for us in the first half. Really big shame that he had to come out at half for Pompeii, even though I also kind of get it. And then obviously Big Ben Lund. I mean, the guy was stellar. But let's start at Klaus. I think at the very beginning of the match, again, it wasn't much, right? Because we had 1 shot on target, and that wasn't until the 40th minute. But in the early first half, you see exactly why we start him and have continued so in the last couple of matches. Hold-up play was great. Aerial duels, he's getting up and challenging for those. He's making some time runs. Not the best, right, in terms of speed or getting pace in and behind, but his IQ, his knowledge of when to hold the run and how to curve the run, I think is excellent. And he's drawing fouls, letting us breathe a little bit. We were obviously taking it for a lot of the first half. My one caveat, Justin, I will say, and I think this actually extends further than just Klaus, is I want some of our better, well-known players to be a hell of a lot more selfish sometimes. And Klaus, to me, is number one. I feel like he gets to that moment sometimes, and we know he has a good shot on him. And he's also capable of some ugly ones too, but who isn't? But with Klaus, sometimes I feel like he's looking for the perfect setup versus the good shot opportunity. And I want him to shoot in those moments. I want him to be selfish. I want him to have confidence. How is he going to get in his goal scoring form if he doesn't take those shots, right? And that's your striker. So that was something I kind of picked up on. I'm like, Klaus, buddy, go for it. Like, I'd rather it fall to you than anyone else.
That's the one. So that you already mentioned. So when he did that one thing with Horn and like Horn slips him into the right, you just need to rip that shot. He immediately was trying to be the selfless guy and give it back to Horn, but you got to be the one to take that. However, I will say later in the game, when he let that first ball go, we've seen that a couple times where he let the ball in from Horn and he kind of went for like a dummy and let it go and then let it fall into Toyshirt. That is where you leave the ball. That is a perfect spot because your little flick there is not getting past Hugo Lloris. And so I do think that he has that presence sometimes, but when it's in front of him and obvious, just take the shot.
Yeah.
Rip something on net. And then also, Jake, did you realize that our underdog entry didn't hit because Klaus didn't have a shot on goal?
Yeah, I did.
So just take the shot, buddy, and we'd all be happy. But
Take the shot, buddy.
But I'll let you kind of touch a little bit more on the Ost Rock one as well. But I do love what you said here, that he actually got stuck in on Denny Bawanga after putting on Yarrow on skates.
Oh.
And that was a good one. That's one where, like, I've seen Ostrak be a little bit more light on his feet and trying to get past guys. He's got speed going down the wings, but actually seeing him just lay his body on the line at the top of the 18 was good to see.
Yeah, because that's the number one complaint, and I've probably said it before too. So I'll raise my hand up and eat some crow here. I mean, people worry about him. He's a little bit dainty, a little bit of a smaller profile, and you worry about him playing centrally because he might get muscled or bodied off the ball. And there's some big boys in the midfield. And he didn't. I think he really held his own in this match. He did have that excellent challenge in the 17th minute on Bouanga, just a 50-50 stick. Bouanga went flying after putting Yarrow on skates. He also, and then can take that defensive stability and translate that into a progressive carry or a progressive pass and move the ball upfield, which he did beautifully the 23rd minute. If you go back and rewatch that, he had a great, probably 30-yard dash with the ball to get us at least a half chance to Hartel. And his cameo, obviously his start hadn't happened since May of last year, but it was cut short just because we needed something different in the second half. What we had out there was not working from a personnel perspective and a setup perspective. So he was the one to ultimately feel the axe come down as Pompeu entered for him. And Celia was fine. So I'm not complaining overly about this, but I think if you're Ostrak, I'm not sure what else you could have done to impress Olaf and have him consider you a lot more seriously for the next go around.
And Jake, as a former player, and you should know this as well, without playing and without having a start since May of 2024, once you see your name going up on that board and you're starting, you got the nerve setting in. And I did not see that out of Ostrak. No. To your point, I mean, I agree that we just had to make a change in how the game was being played in the first half to the second half. And he was unfortunately the kind of the spot that would be there. But it wasn't, to his fault. So I thought he had a great first 45 minutes. Another person that just had an overall great game, Mr. Big Ben Lunt. He had 2 early saves, dining without diving, but clean with no rebounds in the 5th and 10th minute. I will say the only thing I'll say on this one, Jake, that I think he could do a little bit better. He had 2 punches in this game. Both could have been caught. I think he's trying to be a little bit safe, but one of those punches ended up landing to an LAFC player's feet, probably like 25 yards out, and the back of the goal was open. So it completely takes him out of the play. The other one was a corner kick, so I get it. You're trying to be safe, but you're 6'6". When you jump and your hands are in the air, he's probably 10 feet in the air with his hands. And so I think that's one where he could bring it down. I know that we have the 2 that you have listed here in the 33rd and 36th. I'll be sharing video on that with Bawanga getting in behind and Mr. Ben Luch is coming up with a massive face save. Yeah. And then also the one where the ball's in the box. I don't know how it doesn't go in, but Luch is kind of laying there and just like does like what you're doing in the basement and like just kicks it and gets it out.
Yeah, I mean, it was I'm not going to spoil my joke yet until we show the replay for that point blank save you referenced, Justin. But it's a big game from a big boy, and this game should have been way, way, way out of reach had it not been for him between the sticks. And who knows about Berkey? I think he probably could have had a great performance as well. But again, all we can judge is what we're seeing in front of us. And to me, again, it's delight after delight with him. He does what's expected. He makes some that even I don't expect, like some great saves to keep us in matches. And this just continues to be a really successful stint for him that as a fan base, we've all got to rally around this guy. I mean, coming out of the cold, and he's played 2 or 3 matches for us in his entire career for us so far. Just, I think 1 U.S. Open Cup game, couple Leagues Cup games, I think 2 MLS starts before this whole stretch. Dude, and he's been exceptional.
The MLS start, one of them was after we clinched first place. So it was like the hangover game, and we just threw him out there on turf, and so that was a tough one for him as well. But Jake, one thing I do want to say as well, is he our PK guy? I mean, what is like when you think about the playoffs? Like, is he our Horvath or whoever you want to talk about on the U.S. men's national team? Because think about this: Berkey has yet to save his last 11. Now you put Mr. 6'6" Ben Luton there, and he said Taylor Twellman let us know that Dennis has gone. Is 9 out of 11 in his career. And the only 2 that were saved when he's down the middle, you know where all the rest of them went? To the goalie's left. Ben Lunt did his homework, and he came up with a massive save there.
No, I love it. And I'll put my stamp on this. I hate the whole sub the goalie in for the PKs. I know some are just better than others at PKs. I was one of those that was just awful at PKs. But when you earn the performance like that, and you got to be the one to stick it out. Like if you put up a 6-7 save special in the World Cup, whatever, and not even the World Cup, if you're the one that's between the sticks for the game and you've cut the team in that match to get to PKs, you deserve to stay in there, regardless of whatever your track record is. And by the way, didn't Berkey save one of those last PKs? It just the rebound was followed up on. He did save the PK.
Yeah. I know, but in my opinion, you make this. I know PKs are a lot harder, but you make the save, you got to make the parry.
Okay,
It's either got to go out for a corner or it's got to go wide.
Fair enough. Let's go to second half. Justin, before we do, one more final shout out to Timo. Timo Baumgartel continues to come through for the boys. I'm liking the profile he's bringing to us, stepping into challenges, clogging up passing lanes, translating that, then going into attack. Again, a center back, one of our 3 center backs that can also be the first line of the attack as well. And when you have guys like Hebert and Yarrow back there who are just not poised for that type of profile or that sort of progressive passing, he is a breath of fresh air, and he was shadowing Giroud most of the match, and I think kept him quiet. So I was happy for him and his performance as well. But let's talk second half, Justin. Big changes, right? Celio comes on. I think what ensues for us is a change from that 3-4-2-1 into more of a 4-2-3-1, which we saw, most of last year. And honestly, most of the time we've been a team, but a little bit more of an ode to how we got and kind of turned the form around last year. And it shows, immediately on, we get a goal courtesy of Toyshirt in the 51st. And it comes off the foot of a beautifully lofted ball, early cross from Horn, who, again, welcome back, man. Again, defensively, he's solid passing. He can carry the ball without fretting too much. Again, that you see when these guys come back, Justin, you're like, damn, we miss some of these players. Just they bring something else. If anything, it's just confidence through. And that ball, oh my word, that ball into Toyshirt and the touch from Toyshirt, it's a picture perfect goal. I mean, just 2 touches off your foot, back of the net.
And I think it's great there. We already mentioned it, but Klaus there, I think where he throws his foot up and he's thinking about making a touch. And I don't know if Toyshirt says something to him or if he knows that he's there, but Klaus making that run takes a defender away and allows Toyshirt to have the space to be able to take the touch, calm, cool, and collected finish on a world-class goalkeeper. Previously, I would say once he came to the MLS, he's kind of been falling apart, but still cool to put one away. And the first one scored at LAFC.
Yeah, right. I mean, and we'll take goals any way they come. And obviously the second one that we score, we'll definitely take any sort of goal that will come. But getting deeper into the second half, Justin, things kind of quieted down, I think, a little bit for us after that. And then, one of the bigger milestones that I put down here in the second half was Morales. Ooh, Morales. Gonna want to take that one back. Bone-headed second yellow. He took a clear professional first yellow, didn't have a problem with it. And just the second yellow he gets from just, obviously impeding. I don't think it was Bouanga that mowed, it was Bobese. That he had pulled back on. And it just, again, very clear. The ref didn't have to think at all about this one. Hands him a second yellow. And now you're not only leaving your team shorthanded here because we don't have any depth in that position right now. It's on the bench. And even just more generally, and going into this next match, we'll talk about it during our starting 11 construction, but leaves a lot of selection concern when I think about how to build our midfield. And that says a lot, Justin. This guy wasn't even on the radar until preseason when we got him as a trialist and we eventually signed him to a contract. Morales has been playing 90s like it's his job. This was not the intention when we signed him. He was meant to be depth, filler, minutes, rotation, not what he's doing right now. And the fact that now he's out of the match, we're going to hurt. We're definitely going to hurt for this one. But I'm excited for Olaf to react and see what he can do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's definitely going to be one that I don't even want to give anything away in starting 11, but I think I'm going to be a little frustrated. But Jake, I'm going to share screens again. Also on the last goal, this was just MLS to a T and just ping ponging everywhere. One great ball in by Hartel. I do love where he's putting this because you're making Hugo Lloris decide, am I going to come out or am I not? If he floats that even 5 yards, continuing that way, it's an easy catch. So great job by him. Another thing I want to call out here, Mr. Simon Betcher, big, tough STL man, going up and just laying his body on the line. Just fantastic. And I think that's one, what keeps us in this. Kyle Hebert trying to win a header. He doesn't know how to jump. He's not winning that. And then it's just ping pong in here. I thought there was so many different VARs. I'm like, there's no way this goal stands because 1, was it a foul on Betcher? 2, was Hebert off? 3, was who was it? Was it Horan that came in afterwards as well? I was so sorry. And then it goes off of Nilsson's back of his arm. And I'm like, what is going on with this goal? And I was a little concerned that, of course, is going to get called back for us.
Can you go back to Hartel's delivery, Justin? Because again, that's a good call out to make. Is people have been harping, and I know we've been good on that. Is some of the set piece delivery has been pretty rough for this season, and Hartel's been the guy, for the most part, and definitely has left you wanting. But the where he put this ball in the box, if you pause it right here, this is what I have to say about this. It is a moment for Lloris to say, "Oh God, how did I get here?" Because he's not getting to this cleanly. He's not a very aggressive goalkeeper in the matches that I've ever watched from him. So we've got him in an uncomfortable situation, courtesy of a great ball with good pace, and it just causes havoc in the box. And what more do you want on set pieces than just creating havoc? Because chaos ensues, goals can happen. And look, we score off the butt of an LAFC defender, and that gets us up late into the match with a chance to go home with 3 points, very undeservedly so. But again, it starts someplace with a good whip in service. Guys are crashing, guys are hungry, Betcher's in the mix coming off the bench. It was a lot of positives wrapped into that one sequence.
Do we even want to talk about the last goal? Or
yeah, we're going to talk. Let's talk about both goals, Justin. I mean, because both are just so predictable to me when I think about what we tried to say in the preview, right? It was basically like Bouanga watch. Like, this guy's going to get in behind. You got to do your best to throw him off, either physically, prevent the through balls, just stay with him. Do not let him get by you. And we just failed to do so. I think some of it was a mix of ball watching, especially on that. Well, yeah, shout out to the name. In the 70th minute when they got their first goal. I mean, just getting left in the dust by this guy. And again, you've seen this time and time again. If SportsCenter cared at all about MLS, he'd be on there frequently because he makes such great individual plays and he's got such great breakaway speed, great finishing. He's just an all-around excellent player, one of the best in the league, in my opinion. And we knew that going in, yet we still fell victim to him. And then later on in the match, we'll cover that as well, Justin. But I'll just tell you, like, that was, so the first goal to me was just defensive lapse, bad defending. You should be more aware of who you're defending against and adjust. And the last goal that we gave up is inexcusable from an individual mistakes perspective. Act like you've been there before. You're about to commit felonies in Los Angeles for coming away with 3 points from this match after being dunced for the most part by this team, but just scheming 2 goals, just scheming them. And they come back to bite you when you can't play like you know what to do. When the dying minutes are on, it's getting ugly, it's getting chippy, it's getting really hectic out there, and you make individual errors. Those are going to cost you points. I just don't think we're used to honestly defending like that because we've never been up in games recently.
Jake, this last one, I had to kind of take a little bit of a video back to show you a little bit more because what they had on the highlight reel was not fully there. My first question to you is, why is Mr. Kyle Hiebert throwing this ball in and right in their attacking third? Look at the time. It is the 90th plus 5 minutes. Why is he throwing this in? And then watch, after he throws it in, Jake, he decides to even go forward.
Oh, God. Yeah, it's just, yeah.
And look who's hanging out right here. 15 yards of space all around him. Can't even see him, Mr. Denny Mwanga. Mistake number 1. Number 2, after this ball gets back here from Celio, good settle, way to bring it back. I appreciate him trying to make this pass. You got to be crisp. If you're going to make a pass backwards this late in the game, got to be with the inside of your foot. You got to be 100% certain that it's getting to your man so he could lump it. However, you can also see Mr. Kyle Hiebert here. For some reason, he thought it was a good idea. He was going backdoor on this guy. He goes forward again, and that's why he's not there to get the pass. And then at this point, we talked about this. We talked about this from a center back perspective with AJ. Josh Yarrow. Have you not learned that we are 95 minutes into the game and that Denny Mwanga is faster than you? I know, Josh, you can usually make up your speed. Not here. As he does this, Josh is kind of like, too late. Ball gets slotted in. Yes, people are saying could have took him down there. At that point, I really don't know. It's like, in my opinion, I probably wouldn't for the slide. Yes, you get Dennis is doing a full arm extension there, fine. But as you play this through right here, you also can't turn your back completely to Dennis Mwanga because then guess what happens? It's causing Nilsson to come over, slide even further over, and then he gets dunced. Or maybe that might even be, that's
Baumgartel. Nilsson's closing the other side.
Sorry, Nilsson on the other side. And then with Baumgartel being that far over, it leaves a gap between him and Mr. Nilsson that Mr. Lunt cannot cover from inside of the PK spot, and a nice tidy finish from Dennis Mwanga. So my opinion, Jake, it started with the decision to allow Kyle Hiebert to throw that ball in, and there offensive or our offensive third, their defensive third, and then moving forward after that throw. Yes, poor giveaway by Celio, but also I think Kyle could have got there if he wasn't trying to do a slip through ball. So I have some frustration with that.
No, I'm still processing that too. And again, we didn't deserve to win that game, and maybe we still wouldn't have won that game if we didn't allow it that way. But those mistakes just compounding one on top of the other create an issue for us. Like I also kind of go back to that's why Kyle Hebert's not playing in those advanced positions, because he doesn't know what he's doing up there. Like he's a center back. I don't think he's a right back. I don't think he's a right wing back. God, I don't think he's a right wing back. But when you get up there, Justin, it's like I remember being a goalie in maybe a club game, and you're at an out of town tournament, and you get the cream puff game where like the team just does not need to be out there with you all, and you're just giving it to them. And I want to come out. I want to get some reps up top. Like I'm gonna get the boots on. I'm taking the goalie jersey off. I'm putting the shin back. I'm going for it. And that's me making those runs. Like I'm doing what I think my teammates would do. I'm doing what I think would be right on FIFA. That's at a lesser degree what I think Hebert's doing out there, because that's not where he plays. What is he supposed to know how to do up there? Like he knows his position and his auxiliary position. He's not playing advanced like that. I don't want to see him up there. So that's frustrating. Celio starting to make some bad marks on the defensive duties and just kind of mental lapses. I think you got to get those out of your game, man. Yeah, I think defensively, Yaro, got to either take him down or just don't lose him. Just jockey him, stay with him. Don't get turned around. And it's easy for me to say, right? Like we're playing armchair center backs here, but there's options, right? We're not saying play it perfectly or stick him. We're just saying stick with him, take him down. You have options, and you chose the wrong one, which is just let him go, and you know exactly what you have to do to you. So it just felt predictable, felt frustrating, but in a way, it also felt like we deserved that after those lapses.
And so the last one, Jake, I'll share here and kind of talk people through it, and I'll just let it run through because I know I've been talking a lot. You got to use not your dominant foot right there when you're trying to. So this is the ball that gets played in Denny Bouanga in the 33rd minute that then causes Luke to make a save off his face. If Mr. Yaro uses the correct foot, his left foot, he makes this stop. But because he's trying to use his dominant foot, he falls a little bit short instead of wrapping around and either sliding and clearing it or just taking a touch and settling it. And then, Jake, that brings us. So, one, we could have been down 1-0 when it comes to that right there. The next one it brings us right into, which is hilarious to me, that should have been another goal, is at Hollingshead. He's a lefty. He's trying to use his dominant foot right here to score this goal instead of using his right foot to chip it over Mr. Ben Loon. Look at this on this next replay. Look how terrible of like an angle it is. He's trying to reach back around and do this. Watch how easy. Use your right foot. You're a professional athlete and score on the open net. So honestly, we should have given up a goal on a professional athlete trying to use their strong foot when they shouldn't with Josh Yaro. And then we were saved a goal by another professional athlete on an LAFC trying to use his best foot instead of using his off foot. Sorry, I'm fired up.
Dude, it's funny. I mean, we're watching, the game at the highest level here in the United States, and people just don't like using their weak foot still. Yeah, it's very perplexing. And for anyone that's been listening last, especially like probably 15 minutes, go to YouTube, check this out. Justin's been overlaying some of the highlights as we were kind of walking through these and breaking these down. And again, I want to emphasize, we're not here to just harp on guys, but sometimes you got to do it, right? Sometimes you got to hold people accountable. I love these players. I think Yaro's been one of the brighter spots this season. This game was not a good game from Josh Yaro. It was not a good game from Kyle Hebert. And I think to me, it signals, or at least a reminder that we are dealing right now deep in the depth charts for cobbling together a center back three every single match, right? Like getting Hornback, massive. Baumgartel coming into himself, massive. Nilsson coming back, massive. Kessler, really depressing. It's just like when you see the good guys out there that we actually signed to play and start in that position, in those roles, you do begin to see the level, right? The difference between what we have right now, because out of necessity, versus what we really want to have when guys are all healthy. So, it's a rough match. It's a rough match defensively, but again, personnel-wise, your hands are tied for the most part.
And I will say, Jake, that it's not even just from a starting 11 perspective. Like going forward, when we have a fully healthy team, you're not getting Watson for Wallem in the 38th.
No,
I think that's going to have plenty of other options. And then we're just going to move guys around. And if anything, you can move someone like if we have a Durkin and a Leuven or a Morales, that's where those guys are going to come in, not Watts, and then have Watts play for 60 plus minutes. And then you have Celio for Ostrak. That was a tactical change right at halftime. I did appreciate that because the first half, it was just boring to watch. We had an XG of 0.03. Celio is going to bring that spark. And another one in the 71st. These other three subs, Joyner for Toy Shirt, Nilsson for Horn, and Betcher for Klaus. I really do think that Betcher and Joyner brought some more heat. And what they did, what was it, our last home game when I was there? They were the super subs, or attempted super subs in the 71st minute. Just let these young guys get in there and just wreak havoc like the old days and just let them book it around. Both of them were just nonstop running, and I appreciated it.
I agree. I think Nilsson even made an impact. Obviously got on the end of, he had a goal line, he had his almost goal-bound shot cleared off the goal line, and that whole madness that led to our second goal. So I think good appearances, and the bench is getting deeper, right, as more guys, start to come back from injuries. But again, it just reminds you how thin we are at some key positions. But the last thing I'll say before we leave this game behind, I think I'll give my man of the match. I'm not going to, obviously, I think we both would agree it's Big Ben. I'll take a different angle on this and also highlight, we haven't talked about him much, but Toy Shirt. Not your most impactful player in the run of play, but for him to, again, remind us why he's starting and remind us why we bought him, it's goal scoring. And what he does is he's tremendously effective in front of goal in those moments. He does not flutter away. He doesn't get nervous. In fact, I feel like he really gets going when the ball falls to his feet in the box, where other guys might look to pass, he looks to score. And 2 shots on target, a very composed, well-taken goal when he got his chance, and a meaningful one at that for us again. So when we were starved of that for the most of the game, he delivered. So I want to give him his kudos. But I said before the match, Justin, we were talking about the Blues, right? We said Blues at the time were really not able to execute in the margins where the Jets were. The one big play from your big player that's happening every match, every game. It's just there's one more play. Otherwise, we're right there. And we were sometimes with LAFC. LAFC executed in the margins this game. Like on the scoreboard, didn't show as much, but these guys made the most of their chances. Maybe not in the goals column, but they really freaked me out there. I mean, 700 passes. They created chance after chance. Every time they progressed in the field, I was scared of what Blanco was going to do to me. I had nightmares that night. I mean, it just imagine having a player like that who, remember like NFL Street, Justin, like with game breakers. I feel like he lives on game breaker mode. He just looks like he's playing a different speed than anyone else on the pitch.
No, I would agree. I would equate him to our Celio, but then add another like 10 miles per hour and another 3 or 4 inches and just pure confidence and finishing ability. So I do think that he did great there. I do want to go quick shout as well to Toy Shirt. He was the one with our first shot in the 40th minute. I wish he wouldn't have drifted a little bit further right and took that shot, but he caused Hugo Lloris to make a diving save. So Toy Shirt, 2 shots on goal out of his 2 total shots. So that's just efficient right there. I'd like to see him have more than 18 touches. But that's something that'll grow as we start to get more healthy. And as you already mentioned, Big Ben, he's my man of the match. Had a couple of things where I kind of saw him out of position, or the 2 where he punched it instead of caught it. But 7 saves on an XG of 3.71 per FOTMob, or 4.6 per Apple's broadcast. You're going to have to help me out with why XG is so different all over the place, Jake. But he's also 1 being a PK, which is a 0.74 XG. And that absolutely kept us in the match. That in his face save, and him laying on the ground and making that kick save, easy man of the match.
Yeah. No, again, super happy for Big Ben Lund. And Justin, I was happy to get on the right foot on the home front this past week. I did get my tune-up. I am a home protection plan for Hoffman Brothers, and that gives me quicker service. Guys are out there a lot sooner than those normal plebeians that don't have the home protection plan. So I get that easier service. I get that white glove service. People, when I call, I go to a different number. They talk to me like they know who I am. I can authenticate and verify. And it just feels like I'm a valued member there with my home protection plan. But I did my tune-up. Jeff came out to the house, and I said, Jeff, I just need to look at the AC. We're about to click this baby on. It's going to be 170 degrees coming up here in the next couple of weeks. Let's make sure I don't have a meltdown and lose my life when it starts to get too hot in my house. So Jeff came out, took a look at it. They texted me a window of time, Justin. They're like, hey, we'll have some guys available in the next hour or two. Text us back in the next 15 minutes, and we'll send the next one your way. I'm like, that's great, because I can kind of quarterback when I'm going to be home and when I'll be available. Maybe if I'm working from home, so I don't want to be on meetings when Jeff shows up. That was awesome. Jeff rolled up, had the booties on. He's not getting stuff in the house. Super nice. He's like, I'm going to do my thing, man. Just tell me where things are, and I won't bug you. So he does his own stuff, gave me a full debrief on the whole tune-up. I had some a couple of parts that could be replaced for my AC units. I am going to take them up on some of those estimates they gave me. They gave me notes. They gave me quotes that are discounted because I'm a home protection plan member, and I'm going to have them out probably the next couple of weeks here to get this thing done. So I love it. It pays for itself. The value that they get there. You know, these guys are not trying to scheme you. They take time. They shake your hand. They look you in the eye. And they tell you, okay, what's going on? Do you know what that is? The guy's like, hey, your capacitor is out of tolerance. Could need some replacing. I'm like, yeah. So what's the capacitor? And he doesn't look at me like I'm an idiot, which I appreciate. But no, it was a great experience, man. I love my tune-ups. I just love brushing elbows with these guys because God, I know nothing.
No, and they're going to want. That's why I think everyone, if you have not already, call 314-664-3011 or go to hoffmanbros.com, because to Jake's point, we know nothing about owning homes. And if you feel like you need something for dummies, like those old books you used to buy, like the yellow cover, you just call Hoffman Brothers, because they are the nicest guy in the world. They're not going back, making fun of you. They're literally just trying to help and be out there helpful. And they're out there all the time. I feel like ever since that we've been starting posting stories, I just see them every morning going up and down Brightwood Boulevard. It's insane.
Yeah, they got a fleet. They have an absolute fleet. So they can get to your house, as soon as they possibly can. I definitely would recommend giving them a call if you have any needs under the roof. Justin, let's move on to Seattle. Boys are away again on the road here after picking up a point in LAFC, and they look to do something they haven't done really yet either, away from home, at least when it comes to Seattle. Past meetings with Seattle, 0-3 loss away, 0-2 loss at home. That was in 23. 2024, 2-1 loss at home, a 2-0 loss away. But 2025, we've got a dub at home, which is awesome. And that's one of our obviously very few dubs. So we're really proud of that here this season. But now we have a chance to go away, see if we can do the double on them in the season, which would be remarkable, right? I mean, getting Seattle's number, I know that hasn't been an exceptional year for them so far, but getting that on them would away in Seattle, which, obviously 12th man or whatever they call the crew at Lumen Field. It's a special occasion, obviously a big historic, big name franchise. And I think it's a big opportunity. We'll talk about some of the specific reasons why as we get further down.
I feel like that it kind of rings in my head, Jacob, when I first started watching like the MLS. It was like when Beckham was wearing Herbalife and like Dempsey was wearing the Xbox jersey. I thought the Xbox jersey was the coolest jersey of all time. But so, I mean, this team is solid through and through. If you look at last season, 57 points, 4th in the Western Conference, 7th in the MLS overall. And then also they lost in the Western Conference Finals to the LA Galaxy. This year, a little bit of a slower start, but still doing fine. They're 9th in the Western Conference on 13 points, a 3-3-4 win-loss draw. They have yet to lose at home. They are 2-0-2. And their goal differential is a +1 with 13 goals for and 12 goals against. I do want to call out, Jake, in the time that we beat them earlier this season, because he deserves it. Mr. Edu Leuven, we beat them on a 1-0 goal. It was when their center back got the ball and he slipped and then like held onto the ball, and we got a free kick from about 25 yards out. Leuven lines it up just perfectly right over the top of the wall into the back of the net. And also, if you want to remember that was Loon's first game with Berkey's injury. Wow. So it's great for us to come out with a dub there. And Mr. Kessler had a hell of a game. 57 touches, most on the team, 20 defensive actions, and 12 clearances, with 8 being in the air. Kessler was all over the place.
That's a King Cast performance. We missed that. And another note you put in here, Justin, which I didn't know yet, is that Seattle has yet to play any of the top 4 in the West so far. Only one from the East with a 2-2 draw versus Charlotte. So having a little bit of an easier start to the season. I know the standings in the early part of the season are fluctuating constantly, but still something worth noting. They do have a big dub over LAFC. They had a 3-0 loss at San Diego and a 1-1 draw just this past weekend in Colorado, who's number 5 in the West. But let's see what we're looking at when it comes to Seattle. Under head coach Brian Schmetzer, they're a pretty balanced team, typically rolling out in a 4-4-2, sometimes in a back 3 as well. But they've had some injury concerns pop up recently. Last year, they were one of the best defensive teams in the league, only conceding 35 goals, which is remarkable. But over the offseason, they really worked to revamp that attack and bring in some fresh blood. They added Jesus Ferreira, trading for him from the FC Dallas. They got Pedro de la Vega back from injury, counting on Albert Rusnak as well and his playmaking skills. And from a defensive perspective, they're relying on experienced players like João Paulo, and they're returning Kim Ki-hee in the back line to bring some of the semblance from last year's solidity in the back line. But Justin, I look at this team from a statistics perspective, And a couple of things kind of jump off the page to me. So Justin's showing us a little bit of a team profile, which shows their standing in terms of a couple of key metrics against the rest of the league. So the brighter blue or the very, very dark blue on this graph show you where they're most proficient in compared to their benchmark peers. Passes per defensive action stands out to me. A low 10.4 brings them into the top percentile in MLS. So they're going to put us under a lot of pressure. They're also generating a ton of tackles in the final third. So final third being their final third, our defensive third. They're putting us under pressure very high up the field for them, very close to our goal. So that's going to be a big difficulty for the center backs to deal with in this match. They're conceding quite a few shots as well, or sorry, not as many shots. At only 7 per 90 right now, which is pretty impressive. And the other thing I'll say is offensively, they're moving the ball. They're generating a good amount of open play, non-penalty expected goals per game. So this is a team that, again, back to front, pretty balanced. Again, though, not, I think, hitting the heights that they would be hoping to at this point in the season, giving some of the fresh blood.
Yeah, and I would say more than balanced. With their number 7 in XG and in the MLS and number 6 at home specifically, they also have the third least expected goals against when at home. So this team, as we've already talked about, they have not lost. They played 4 games, 2 wins, 2 ties. They will be missing a couple of guys though, Jake. So injuries. They have Jackson Reagan, who's out with mid-May with a hamstring injury, and then Paul Arriola, ACL, out until November. That's what they say. I mean, that's going to just be the rest of the season. So some other guys that they will be missing, as we'll talk about. Those are just the injuries on the injury report from last week. But another guy that they are just missing from departure perspective is Raul Ruidiaz. The 34-year-old DP spent 7 seasons in Seattle, and he had 8 goals and 2 assists on just 15 full 90s last season. The other guys that I would say also that they are going to be missing now with injuries, what we're expecting is Mr. Jordan Morris, who had 13 goals, 5 assists last year. He has 3 goals in just 288 minutes this year, and starting 2 of his 5 games played. He suffered a hamstring injury in the last match versus Colorado, so likely to be out against us as well. And then Danny Muscovy? Musowski?
Yep.
I brought in here, Jake, that he's on a heat check because he only had 1 goal last season. However, he scored in each of their last 3 games, which has him tied for the lead for most goals, on the team with Jordan Morris. However, he's also going to be ruled out for our match, more than likely.
Yeah. They're walking in feeling probably a little bit like us in this match, but missing some big players. You mentioned the long-term guys, the short-term, Jordan Morris, no Denny Musovski. So a lot in the attacking department, unfortunately for them. Jesus Ferreira is going to have a big ask ahead of him in this match. So far, he has yet to deliver 1 goal this season for them. I'm hoping it doesn't begin against us. He's contributing. It's not like he's been a nobody out there, but he's contributing in goals in goal contributions with 5 assists so far in the 7 full 90s he's played this season. But again, he's not bringing that goal output yet like the fans would expect him to. So again, you're looking to continue that streak. They'll be looking at Albert Rusnak as well, who's got 2 goals, 3 assists so far this season for them. A lot more of their playmaker type in the midfield and even going up top sometimes. Christian Roldan is still on the team as well. Leads the team in minutes played so far and goal contributions with 5 in under his belt so far this season. John Bell, I forgot, is on this team. Shout out to John Bell. Man, I remember him. He was a guy that we picked up in 23. Didn't really give him too much of a look, but he's gone on to acquit himself rather well, I would say, in his MLS career since he left here. With 5 starts already this season, but he has not been playing too much in the recent times.
Dude, Jake, when I was looking up stats for all these guys, and then I was going to go to the injury report, which obviously is not out yet this week, and I was like, damn, John Bell, he's got 5 starts this season. That rocks. And I'm like, wait, so why is he only at 5 starts? The man's only played 1 minute in the last 5 matches. So I don't know what's going on with all that. And I was looking at it for all these guys' minutes. They seem very high and low, but they're either outperforming or underperforming in their minutes. So that really threw me off, but it's always good to see a former City player. We got to make sure we always bring those tweaks back.
Yeah, we do. Agreed. So, Justin, I think this one might take a while. So let's take our time here, and I'll let you roll us into the Hoffman Brothers starting 11, but we're going to have some fun here in this one.
Yeah, so, Jake, I'm going to say I'm not going to like this, but here is your Hoffman Brothers predicted starting 11.
I don't even know how to begin, Justin, because you're without Morales. in this one. The midfield is by far and away, I think, the biggest talking points. Maybe let's just start in the back, see if we can agree on this so far.
Okay.
So what I was thinking was now you've got Horn back. I expect him to roll again, start the game like he did the last match at left center back. I expect Baumgartel to stick at central center back. And then you can pick one of Yarrow or Hebert to play the right-sided center back. I think out of precedent, Yarrow's been getting the start at the right-sided center back. I know Hebert's been playing more of the right wing back at times. So I would probably go back to Yarrow. And again, unless you think Nilsson's 100% ready, actually, you know what, Justin, I'm kind of going back on what I even said earlier. Maybe if Nilsson's ready, I know you threw him in the last game, maybe you could throw Baumgartel out at the right center back and bring Nilsson into the central center back.
Yeah, we're changing this. We made this prior to talking about it. And I mean, if Nilsson's healthy, we're absolutely taking him because you just can't expect him to be healthy ever. And if he looked good last game. So I'm going to give it to him, Jake. And then so I'm going to put him in the center and Baumgartel as the right center back.
Yep.
And then if you want to talk wing backs, Vollum on the far left. And then I like what you said here and putting Zielinski on the far right. I know I keep saying that like, oh, he'll get his first minutes as a sub. We're too far into the season. Just throw the man in there. He can't be that much worse than it can't be any worse than Hebert getting forward. So I would like to see a little bit more of attacking prowess out of him. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, like, take a swing here. I know that he hasn't started. No, he hasn't played a minute yet, which is, by the way, I think pretty brutal. If I'm being honest, you signed him. We've had crisis at this position the whole season, basically, and you can't find a way to get him minutes. I don't know. It just kind of baffles me, especially seeing how many times we've gone to Hebert at right wing back. And that's nothing against Kyle. I think you're setting him up to fail, putting him in that position. Anyway, I think Zielinski writes himself in there because, again, we're not expecting Tolman to be back for this one. And I think Watts, you're going to have to throw into the central side of the field for us, given Morales is out. And I think he's the closest we have, and he's not close to Morales in terms of that type of profile. So I think Zielinski, you could maybe make a case for a joiner. Someone new will have to start there. If it's Hebert, I'm going to be very, very sad. Very, very sad. But I wouldn't be shocked.
Jake, if it's someone that has already had a start and a more recent start, I know Mr. Mike Chat City Tactics is going to be mad at me for this, but you can throw a little Ostrak back there, and that's Lindsay right back. Oh my goodness, either that, or I could see them doing Hartel and Ostrak in the front with a Watts at the right wing back as well. There's just too many options. Let's move up the field because I am still intrigued. Do you think that we'll go with a Celio, Toyshirt, and Klaus up top?
I can see that being brought back. So moving that far, so you're saying that Hartel and Watts are kind of like the double sixes. I know like Hartel is not a six, but in terms of what you're asking him to do is to sit deeper, help us distribute, help us connect defense to attack. I think he will be brought back at least to start this match.
We talked about it in the last game. I really loved that he was pushed up further in the starting 11. However, I think in this game, now that we're missing another center mid that is more like a center defensive mid, I think he's going to have to be the one that gets brought back. Yes.
Yeah, I would agree. So then, all you're left with is the front three and I think Klaus again pencils himself in, start at the tip of the spear. And I think Celio, while it wasn't his best match, again, you need a different profile. You can't have like a Hartel toy shirt to me because both those guys have some level of playmaking abilities in. Neither of them have pace. Neither of them are going to stretch the field from a width perspective, and Celio does that. So Celio gives you 1v1, verticality, a different profile. Toy shirt gives you a poacher in the box, a finisher, a guy that can make serious quality plays out of half chances. And he and Klaus, I think, have some good chemistry as well. I think Celio was also kind of getting there with Klaus. But I think Celio toy shirt we've seen under Klaus work. And I would like to go back to it for this one. I also would be, open to seeing as we get deeper into this match, like the introduction of some subs. I've been liking the energy Joiner brings, Badger brings. We haven't seen Silva make his first appearance yet for the team as our newest acquisition. Again, another guy that brings speed, 1v1 skill. Maybe Celio gets tired, you bring him on. So bench is starting to fill up a little bit more and give you some options from a tactical side of things versus what it's been.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. I'm trying to think about this a little bit more, and a lot of people are making the comments too that we're going to be going up there and playing on turf. So I think that might automatically be like a Nilsson out and like a Celio. I know Celio's been on minutes restriction. Like Obviously, Celio was at a dislocated ankle and a broken fibula. Like that's
Yeah.
not something you want to be trying to stop on turf. Me being the guy that has 2 torn ACLs on turf, so that's going to be probably something that we're going to take into consideration. I mean, but also at some point we're professionals, and they're going to have to play through it. I'm not saying play through injuries, but just play through the fact that there's going to be turf on some of these fields. But I really, if you just ask me to predict the starting 11 and how much money I'd be willing to put on it, I'd put $1 because I just have no clue.
Yeah. God, I mean, who knows? And actually, back connecting the dots, turf, Silva comes from turf with Atlanta. So if we're talking about comfortability on turf, maybe this is a guy you could think about. That'd be pretty interesting, throwing him just straight into the starting 11. And I want to temper expectations around the guy. I'm excited about him for sure, but we got him for pretty cheap, and he's not exactly been lighting it up. But we know he has some cool, tools in his locker that we've been coveting as a team early part of the season. So, Justin, let's talk about it. We talked about LAFC enough and what to expect from this team. My goal for the match, followed by my prediction, is I do not think I can remember a performance this season so far where it's been a continuous full performance. And that doesn't mean that we're killing the other team. It doesn't mean that we have 25 shots on target or 17 goals to show for it. I'm talking about 90 minutes plus whatever the stoppage is, where we put our best foot forward. We don't have a 20-minute lapse or a total break in what we've been trying to do. We're generating chances. We're defending strongly. I want to see us put together a cohesive and continuous 90, something where I don't have a first half where basically we're missing the entire match like this last one. I want to have a first half and a second half that don't look remarkably different, but in a good way, right? Where we're competing, we're making it tough on Seattle to progress, we're making the most of our chances, we're making them earn it, and we're gonna have to, right? They're a great home team. They're gonna bring it to us. They have not lost this season at home. I think we need to take our turn and bring it to them on their home turf.
That's exactly what I agree. I think this is one of those that I would love to punch them in the face early. I don't. And so when I say that my goal in this game is to get to half, at least tied or up, I don't want to do it in the way that we did it against LAFC. I just mean in the sense that, hey, if they score on us, let's just flip the switch right again and go and get one for ourselves. Don't be worried about if we go in there and we're trying to get blown out. I think the main goal for that is get there, and then let's turn it on and be like, wow, we can do this. This is the second game in a row. We're on the road. We're tied at half. Let's see what we can get going. So that's my goal of the game, Jake. And I'm actually going with a 2-1 dub. I understand this team has only allowed, they have the third best XGA at home. However, I think this is a team that is starting to limp in here with injuries. And this is also a team in a leadership perspective. When you think about Jordan Morris. And so they're missing their 2 top goal scorers, 6 of however many goals they've scored so far this season, which is 13. So they're missing half their goal output. And I also think that we're a little bit on the ups on this. This is a team that's a little bit scared. They've not played a true competition in the MLS so far this season, if you ask me, not playing a single one of the top 4 in our conference and only the number 4 team in the other conference. This is a true opportunity for us to go in and steal some points.
I agree. I agree. I'm predicting a 1-1 draw here. And again, I think that would be stealing a point, especially for a team that hasn't lost at home yet. And they've only given away 2 draws. The reason I feel better about this match, maybe even last match, Justin, is because progression, again, I'll go back to it, has been such a weak point for us. It's been there in flashes, but really it's just been flashes. It has not been continuous, it hasn't been consistent. And I think a lot of people want to point to central midfield, like Morales is doing his job. We're missing Leuven. Durkin's not there. And I agree, like all that stuff sucks. But I think, again, good attacks start from the back. And if you told me that Olaf is going to start Horn, Nilsson, Baumgartel as our 3 center backs, and then Wallum and anyone but Kyle Hebert at right wing back, I think we win this game. And I don't care who else is in front of them. I just think that those guys are good defenders. We've seen that. They can play with the ball at their feet very comfortably. They can stretch the field with good passes. We saw Horn provide a lovely assist in this last match. When all 3 of those guys have that in their locker, that's tough to defend against. I mean, you're thinking about Klaus, you're thinking about Teuscher and Celio. How do we defend these guys? What about our center backs that can put a ball on a dime, on a rope right to a guy? So I think if we can see a good 3-back like that come to play, we could be in business. And I feel very, very strongly about that.
Jake, I'm excited for this one. I think this is one. Also, let's get back to Saturday night games. I mean,
Yeah.
Sunday was great, but like that was a little off for me. What was it, a 4 p.m. kick?
Yeah.
It just felt off, and I'm happy to be going back to a night game. It's going to be a nice atmosphere in Seattle, and we're going to have to put together an underdog entry. So if anybody hasn't already, sign up with Underdog using code BALLWATCHING to make your first deposit and get up to 1,000 real dollars in bonus cash. And then you can tail our entries. Jake and I will be putting together a couple of picks, throwing a package together. Jake, I don't know your thoughts here, but I've been hearing rumors that the Blues won't be till like 9 p.m. on Saturday night. So we could have the full lift, and then we could throw a Blues little entry or a Blues pick in our entry with City. Possible way to play.
So the last I heard in the Blues is that they're playing Friday here at home, and it's
Yeah.
going to be Friday night.
Yep.
So yeah, we could work in a Blues pick as part of that entry. That'd be fun. Obviously they've been lighting it up, so I'm in for that. And I think City, we're bound, man. We're bound to get one in the green here. For anyone that's been tailing us, God, I apologize. That does not reflect on Underdog as an app. It is amazing. I'm having a lot of fun on there for the Stanley Cup playoffs right now. It's just, you just go back to your tried and true guys, the hits, the goals and assists, the points for any Blues player at this point. The guys are just streaking. So it's been fun. I've been having some serious action in my entries.
And if anybody hasn't signed up yet and it's like, oh, I don't want to get into a betting site, this is not a betting site. This is fantasy, and it is available in Missouri. So when you're laying on your couch at night and you're watching some Stanley Cup playoffs or some NBA playoffs and you're watching the MLS, this is the way to play. This is the way to get in and join us on this. So sign up using code BALLWATCHING.
Agreed, Justin. Well, that brings an end to the show for today. So for anyone still listening, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel on YouTube. We've been hovering right at about 1,000 subscribers since, I don't know, for a while now. But there's a lot of you that are not subscribed. And all that does for you all, it's not going to bother you. All it's going to say is, hey, Jake and Justin are going live. You should tune in. If anything, it's going to be a helpful thing. So there's my sales pitch to you. So make sure you like the video, subscribe to us on YouTube, and then on Apple, Spotify, same thing. Like, subscribe. I believe follow is how you get on the Apple subscription, basically, and you get notified. You get your episodes dropped onto your phone, downloaded. You can listen to them offline whenever we record. So that is an awesome feature for Apple and Spotify. So show us your love. If you like what you're listening to, show us.
Show us your love. And if you're down around St. Louis for the Blues game, either tomorrow night or Friday night, get to the pitch. Or if you want to go there for the City game, get to a little lounge area, enjoy some drinks, some food, and the atmosphere, especially when these Blues games are on, Jake. That place is wall to wall right now. I'm loving seeing St. Louis showing out. And it's wall to wall on game days at home. And even on the weekends, you're getting a heavy dose of City fans. If you want to have it on every TV and the loud sound, you're not going to like your local Applebee's and you're like, oh, that TV over there, that 32-incher has a City game on. Or you try to go somewhere, they're like, what's Apple TV? The pitch has no worries about that. They are taking care of you, so get there.
Love it. All right, Justin. Well, we may or may not be back for a little sneak special guest here in the midweek, so stay tuned for that. And if it doesn't happen, you never heard this. But if it does, tune in. Actually, I think we will have something for you all, and I think you guys are going to like it. But everyone have a great rest of your week in the lead up to our Seattle 9:30 kickoff on Saturday night in Seattle. Going to be a sleepless one. For anyone catching that reference, but we're pumped for it. I think everyone's feeling good, jazzed, ready to go, ready to put this last match behind us, show that we moved on, and hopefully get a little away dub. I like your prediction, Justin. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling positive.
I like it. So let's get after it. I don't know why I thought it was 6:30 p.m. all the way in Seattle. 9:30, another late one for your boy, but I'm ready. So all for City.
All for City.